PSG make an offer for Messi. England get a historic win at Euro 2020. Man United want Camavinga, the latest from Copa America, and a transfer roundup, all coming up on today's OneFootball Daily News. As I'm your host, Angelina Kelly, let's get into it. So yes, we all know that Lionel Messi is technically now a free agent after his contract with Barcelona did expire. And whilst the club and his father/agent are reportedly working overtime to try and get a deal over the line, this has not stopped other clubs registering their interest. So according to reports in Spain, PSG have made an offer to the 34-year-old player. Now, of course, Messi and PSG were linked together earlier on in the year. People were excited at the potential of a Neymar-Messi reunion. However, the rumours did fizzle out, but according to the reports, apparently because of the unusual circumstances that Messi found himself in, PSG thought that they would make a move, and they'd never really hidden the fact that Messi would always be the type of player that they would have on their transfer wish list. However, the offer that PSG are reportedly offering is financially better than the deal that Barcelona are offering, so could Messi be tempted? I'm not too sure if I could see him making the move. However, this for Barcelona will certainly have alarm bells ringing, as they are working tirelessly to try and get this deal to fit into their structure financially. So according to Sport, they did speak to La Liga about having a little bit of wiggle room regarding increased salaries. This was rejected, and what this means is that Barcelona have to stick to the league's rules when it comes to salaries. So if they want to fit Lionel Messi into their structure, they're going to have to offload some other players. And this is what they've been doing. Left, right and centre, it seems to be that Barcelona players are on the move. Francisco Trincao is set to join Wolves on a season-long loan that could actually end up with Wolves purchasing the player for 30 million euros. Then we have Junior Firpo, who seems set to make a move to Leeds United. Conrad de la Fuente has made the move to Marseille, and now it seems like Miralem Pjanic and Samuel Umtiti could also be on the move. So according to Mundo Deportivo, the club have spoken to Pjanic and Umtiti and said that they can actually depart from the club on free transfers so that they can obviously free up some money regarding their salaries. Now, apparently Pjanic is considering it. He has been linked with a few transfers already regarding a move from Barcelona, but Umtiti has apparently said that he's not going anywhere and he wants to prove himself. I'm not too sure if that's the best idea, because it doesn't seem like Barcelona are interested in keeping the player. We'll have to wait and see if Barcelona do manage to offload some players and free up some salaries. But with an offer coming in for Lionel Messi, could it be that they have got to work even harder to try and get this deal done as soon as possible before Messi's head is potentially turned? And next, yes, England have made it to the semi-finals of Euro 2020. This is their first semi-final in the competition since 1996, and they are just one game away from getting to their first major final in a competition since 1966, when they of course won the World Cup. It's safe to say that England fans have been complaining about maybe not seeing the most exciting football from their nation. I think they did get that in that 4-0 victory over the Ukraine, and also a great night for Jordan Pickford. He has now actually made history, as he has managed to keep 5 consecutive clean sheets, the most that any goalkeeper has managed in a single stage of the European Championships before. A massive achievement for him. There were so many questions over the goalkeeper and his capabilities, and he has just proven all of the doubters wrong. With England's success so far in the tournament, the fact that they have managed to play really well and get some great results, it does leave people asking, should more respect be put on Gareth Southgate's name? Again, he is another person who has had questions over his capabilities as manager for England, but pretty much every decision that he has made in this tournament, he's got right, and I don't want to jinx things for him, but you know, people have been complaining that maybe Jack Grealish hasn't appeared as much, Jadon Sancho, and also with Harry Kane, he wasn't performing that well in the group stage. People were calling for him to be pulled from the starting 11. Southgate has stuck to his guns with every decision that he's made, and he's come out on top. However, the road to the final will not be easy for England, as of course Denmark stand in their way. They got a great win over the Czech Republic. They were absolutely brilliant once again, and just proved how strong this team truly is to have overcome the trauma that happened at the beginning of the tournament and to still be in the competition. Now, on paper, England probably do have the more talented squad, but you just cannot underestimate this Denmark team and what they could bring to the table. Meanwhile, over the weekend, there were some dramatic quarter-final games as Spain once again had to go to extra time, this time with Switzerland. It went to penalties. 5 penalties were missed or saved in total. It was an absolute shambles, if we're being honest, but Spain did manage to push through and get to the next round of the competition. Even though in attack, they're still not looking great. They had 28 shots against Switzerland, only 10 were on target, and they are going to need to seriously sort things out when it comes to their attack and when it comes to scoring goals, as they are of course facing Italy in the next round of the competition, who had arguably the most impressive game of the tournament so far against Belgium. It was a brilliant game as two fantastic teams did battle. It was two great goals from Italy. Unfortunately for Belgium, the golden generation, it does seem to be over for them. Maybe they can try and cling on until the World Cup in 2022, but I think that Belgium will be needing a bit of a rebuild. Meanwhile, Italy are just going from strength to strength. You can understand why arguably they are the favourites in the competition. In attack and defence, all across the pitch really, they were absolutely brilliant and they provided us with a masterclass in football. And if you want more Euro content, do not forget about the OneFootball app and the Volkswagen OneHub. Check them both out, and if you're watching on YouTube, the links are directly beneath this video. Our next story is about Manchester United, as journalist Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that the club have made contact with Rennes about their teenage star Eduardo Camavinga. Now, Camavinga has been spoken about recently in the last couple of seasons as arguably one of, if not the brightest young talent in world football. He was, of course, linked with a move to Real Madrid. These rumours do seem to have died out, but he is still, of course, linked to PSG. But it's Manchester United who have reportedly set the wheels in motion. Camavinga has reportedly rejected contract talks with Rennes. It does look like he is looking for a way out, and the club are happy to sell him for about €30 million rather than lose him on a free next season. And actually, that's a pretty good price tag for such a talented player with so much potential. And whilst he is reportedly one of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's long-term targets, this transfer could have a little bit of a knock-on effect. Number one, we have to see if Camavinga would actually be interested in a move to Manchester United. Of course, as we've seen what happened with Donny van de Beek in midfield, he hasn't got a lot of game time. It really hasn't been great for him. And this maybe isn't the best example for bringing other young talent to the club, as if you've seen what's happened to Van de Beek, you wouldn't want the same to happen to you. And of course, could Camavinga be a long-term replacement for Paul Pogba? Of course, United are allegedly in talks with Pogba about a new contract, but Juventus are reportedly waiting in the wings to try and get the player back to the club. If Camavinga does arrive, could this mean the end of Paul Pogba at Manchester United, or could it just mean that he arrives at the club and kind of works under the player to learn all he can? Now, if Manchester United can pull this off, this would be a fantastic signing for them. However, I cannot see PSG letting this player go without a fight. I don't think this is anywhere close to being done, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see where Camavinga does eventually end up. Next up, and it has been a truly exciting knockout round in Copa America in the quarterfinals, as we now have our 4 teams that will be in the semi-finals, and one of these teams is Colombia, who managed to knock out Uruguay. Now, I think it's safe to say that Uruguay were arguably slightly more the favourites going into the game, but Colombia completely controlled the game, especially in the first half. So this exciting physical match went down to the wire, and it ended up in a penalty shootout, and hats off to David Ospina, who was brilliant for Colombia, who managed to make 2 saves and make sure that Colombia progressed to the next round. And meeting them in the semi-final will be Argentina, who looked extremely dangerous as they got a 3-0 victory over Ecuador. And the night certainly belonged to Lionel Messi, as he not only managed to assist, but scored a wonderful free kick as well. Meanwhile, in the other quarterfinal games, it was Peru versus Paraguay in arguably one of the most exciting games of the tournament. It ended up being 3-3 at full time. Each team had had a red card as well, and it of course went to penalties. And just when you thought that the whole game itself had been dramatic enough, the shootout continued to be dramatic with 5 misses overall, and this sent Peru into the next round. They of course will be facing Brazil, who didn't have the most exciting of games, shall we say, as they got a 1-0 victory over Chile. And of course, Gabriel Jesus did see red for Brazil. As much as Chile did try to get back into the game, unfortunately they just could not break down Brazil's defence. Whilst most people will be expecting it to be a Brazil versus Argentina final, you cannot underestimate Colombia and Peru. But the fact that they have had so many more extra minutes of playing time in those dramatic quarterfinal games will probably be an added boost for Brazil and Argentina, and it will be so interesting to see what happens in these semi-final games. And finally, we have our transfer roundup. This is where I take a look at some of the other news and transfers going on in the footballing world. And first up, according to reports, Manchester City's Benjamin Mendy is on Inter Milan's transfer wish list. Crystal Palace have appointed Patrick Vieira to replace Roy Hodgson at the club. There was a bit of a blunder at the Austrian Grand Prix over the weekend, as Timo Werner was introduced as Chelsea and Germany's goalkeeper. And lastly, Cristiano Ronaldo's agent is reportedly working on a contract extension with Juventus for 1 year that would keep the player at the club until 2023. So that's it for today's OneFootball Daily News. As always, check out all the other news and content that we've got here, and until next time, I will see you all later.